Enter the Gungeon is an indie video game that was released in 2016. I want to talk about the reasons why to this day I'm still playing it. I'm going to call these reasons the Gungeon Mindset, because they're more an abstract collection of strategies and perspectives than anything else on how I approach the game. Hopefully these reasons will help you, like they helped me, not only survive, but thrive and enjoy Enter the Gungeon. So without further ado, let's get into it. 10 things that make up the Gungeon Mindset. First things first, be proud of your deaths. Enter the Gungeon is a very challenging game, and because of this I often compare it to another indie game that has a lot of similarities with it. That game is Celeste. Celeste is one of the greatest blends of challenging and zen. There's a moment in the game where they literally write out the sentence, "Be proud of your death count. The more you die, the more you are learning." This is really no different and something to take at heart when playing Enter the Gungeon. If you ever find yourself worried or guilty about your deaths, don't be. Take a step back and think about how much you've learned through those deaths. It's not about the death count, it's about self-improvement, learning, and breaking past old personal records. Secondly, embrace the RNG. The Gungeon giveth, and the Gungeon taketh. Like many of the roguelike games before it, Enter the Gungeon has many randomly generated aspects to it. Whether it's the items in the shop, the bosses and enemies on the level, the chests you'll find, or the NPCs you'll run into, there's a lot of opportunities for the game to screw you over, and there's a lot of opportunities for the game to make you feel unstoppable. You should lean into the chaos. Avoid thinking the game is already over if you've ran into bad luck, and never think that your run can't go sour if you've had good luck. Phrased differently, if things are going well, always be prepared for whatever the Gungeon might have up its sleeves, and if things are going horrible, keep playing, because maybe, just maybe, the next item in that chest is what completely changes your game. Number 3, trust the weird and ridiculous things. Enter the Gungeon, while being a very difficult and challenging game, does not take itself seriously. You might look and feel like a badass rocking an eye patch and a sawed-off shotgun, and we've been conditioned by other games to think this is how you get some serious business done. But actually, some of the weirdest items in the game are, as it turns out, some of the most unique and powerful to play with. Just as some personal examples, I used to avoid using the alien engine gun. I thought it was just some funny gimmick to move the character around the map. It wasn't until much later that I decided to give it a chance, and afterwards came to realize it's one of the most useful guns in the game if you can use it in the right situation. This same principle goes for all the other weird items in the game. Whether it's the fish barrel gun, the wooden beam, or the Casey bat, every item can offer a lot to your success in the Gungeon. In other words, don't judge a gun by its cover. Number 4, shoot or roll. There's nothing else going on. At the core of it, Enter the Gungeon consists of two things. You're either moving and dodging bullets, or you're shooting your own bullets. There's nothing more outside of those two things that you'll need to master. If you ever find yourself struggling with the game, revert back to asking yourself, should I be shooting something different, or should I be dodging something different? Once you can boil down the complexity of something like this into something like this, then there really isn't any problem you can't overcome in the Gungeon. Number 5, think of the early game as momentum. Don't rush things. There is sometimes the tendency to get annoyed or want to rush past the early levels of the Gungeon. This tends to happen especially with newer players who are focused on the endgame or late stage goals. However, if you can think of the first items and levels as momentum for your late game inertia, or as an opportunity to warm up and refine your dodge, rolling, or shooting muscles, you'll have a better and stronger run. And you'll have a better and stronger appreciation for some of the possibilities the Gungeon has to offer. Number 6, experiment with your movement patterns. One of the biggest ways you improve at the Gungeon is by learning the enemy attack patterns and responding appropriately. And while the enemies you'll face in the Gungeon have a finite amount of patterns, how you respond to them can be as infinite as your creativity. Feel free to watch videos of people playing against bosses or particular enemies if you feel stuck or clueless on how to respond. But also feel free to explore and do whatever feels best for you or natural for you personally. As a personal example, I often get hit by this attack by the Blobu Lord when they split into a bunch of small blobs and bounce around. I tried a lot of different things, watched a lot of different videos, and saw a bunch of different techniques, but at the end of the day, I found that for me personally, most of the time, if I can get the angle of distance, I'll just hide in this little nook and avoid most of the attack. Is it fancy? No. Does it get me results? Yes, and now it's my personal style. Feel free to discover your own movement patterns and playstyle. Be creative. Whatever you do, don't let your movement patterns be as programmed as the enemies you face. Number 7. Experiment with your probabilities. As mentioned before, a lot of the Gungeon is randomly generated and determined. However, you, so to speak, roll the dice, and thusly you affect the probability. In a hypothetical situation where you only have one key, and you have to choose between using it on a green chest or on a door that has a brown chest with a couple extra items in there, you're making a decision between what risks to take or explore. The more you play, the more you'll learn how these different decisions can lead or eliminate to other possibilities in the Gungeon. You won't learn all these different decision trees though if you always pick the same risks and same rewards. So every once in a while, if you're a cautious player, try something risky. Or if you're a more reckless player, try a run through the Gungeon that's a little more cautious. Once you know all the risks and all the rewards, you'll start to really navigate all the possibilities. Number 8. Experiment with different characters and modes. In order to completely defeat the Gungeon, you'll need to play all the characters. This, I think, is a great mechanic that forces players to pick different Gungeoneers that they might not have otherwise picked. Each Gungeoneer have abilities and items that lean into different styles of play. The Marine, for example, is all about firepower. The Convict rewards risky plays. The Pilot explores RNG mechanics, and the Hunter has a dog. Likewise, you should try all the bonus game modes if you've unlocked them. In particular, I suggest you all check out the Rainbow Runs and the Turbo mode. Even if you don't particularly like a character or game mode, experimenting here improves your overall skill, and variety is the spice of life. Number 9. Avoid playing one character or one mode all the time. This one, admittedly, is just a negative phrasing of the previous point, but I feel like it needs to be said again. It's 100% okay to have a favorite character and a favorite game mode and to play that mode or character the majority of the time. It's a video game and it's meant to be fun. All I'm saying is that once in a while, try something different. Spice it up every so often. After all,
he who controls the spice controls the universe.
Lastly, but most importantly, number 10, have fun. Avoid all the stress and shame of failure that sometimes come with video games. For me personally, Enter the Gungeon took a lot of time to get further into the game. I screenshotted my first victory screen here, defeating the dragon at 107 deaths, and it wasn't until I had 291 deaths under my belt that I defeated the Lich's Future. Honestly, I don't know if this is above or below the norm. My point here is that it doesn't really matter how long it took me to do these things or how many times I died trying to do them, because I guarantee you that I enjoyed the heck out of all those hours behind all those deaths. I'm a firm believer that it's hard to consider any time as wasted time if you've had fun. In other words, don't get hung up on the small stuff and instead focus on your own incremental improvement and have a good time. Speaking of time and having fun, I hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and I wish you all the best of time entering the Gungeon.